Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments and another Tuesday talk. So today I really want to talk about companies, and yes, I will get to Hornby, that company, but really I want to talk about how companies are treating people these days and the differences between that. And I am going to use Hornby as a low common denominator here, and talk about some other companies which I think are really starting to develop well in the past few months and years. And this really came across quite strongly when I received the Airfix Club magazine. Now, I did join the Airfix Club this year, and I joined it specifically to look at whether it was worth joining again. Since then, obviously a lot of things have happened. Obviously, it is not worth joining, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a dedicated video on that. But let me just talk about the Airfix magazine for a while. So this is the Airfix Club magazine. It is 34 pages long, and it covers one of the shortest editorials I think I've ever seen in a magazine. I'll actually put this up on the screen so you can see it properly. So the editorial itself is 13 lines long in 2.5 paragraphs, basically. You get a lot of pictures in this magazine. The actual quality of the paper is pretty good, so it seems like it was, relatively expensive to make this. And yet what we have is a plain facts article on the Bristol Bulldog, specifically Douglas Bader's Bristol Bulldog, which goes over 4 pages and features the new box art for the Douglas Bader set, which again I'll put up on screen here. And it is the lowest rent effort at box art I think I've ever seen. I think it is awful, and as a tribute to one of the greatest flying legends ever to have lived, I think it's pretty disgusting. So even the preliminary artwork that Airfix showed at the beginning of the year is way, way better than this, and it was a bit boring. But why are they doing a 4-page article in the Club magazine on the Bristol Bulldog, which has been out for well over a year now? Then we have a piece on the Wessex by the Secret Modeller, and then we have a modeller's word search with things like phantom, warbird, ship, Sea King, and it just beggars belief. This is the sort of thing you get in a 10-year-old's magazine, not one where the average age of membership is probably well into the 50s, if not the 60s. It's just unbelievable. We then have a 4-page article on the Hornice, the ME410, which again came out at Telford, getting on for 2 years ago now. And yet that has pride of place. We then got a 2-piece nothing article on Airfix treasures and the Great Airfix Kit competition. 2 pages on the Saracen. We then have a double-page poster spread of 6 returning legends. We kept the molds, and going over these 6 kits, the most expensive one here is the Mitsubishi Dyna, which is $9.99 from Airfix. And yet, somehow, this is worthy of a centerfold spread of 4 figure kits in 1/76 scale, vinyl figures. It just beggars belief of why they would waste quite important real estate on such a trivial advert. We then have a piece talking about the SRN4 hovercraft, which is a page of text, and the rest is filled with pictures over 2 pages. We have an introduction to Tante Jew, again, goes over 2 pages, and then the Cold War Icon Reborn, which is basically a piece where Paramjit talks about the FG1 Phantom. Now, whilst this is good, this is basically just a cut down form of their existing Workbench online, so you can already read this for free. We then have another 2-page spread picture of a phantom with a bizarre rendition of the Airfix logo, which now they seem to think is some sort of canon. We talk about Old Warden, which goes over 4 pages, although probably the text makes up barely 2. Lots of pictures again. Then we have 2 pages of Built by You. And then finally, we have this. A 2-page spread of the artwork from the Robin Hood set. £35 is what you pay for the Airfix Club. And this is the magazine they give you. On the other side, I also recently received the IPMS magazine. Now, this is 44 pages, so it's 10 more pages. Let me give you just a quick view of the editorial. That is a lot of text. So the editorial is here. This is actually a piece by the president. The editorial is 4 pretty big paragraphs talking through all of that. So you get contents, you get a proper build of the SRN1 hovercraft over 4 pages with 13 different stages and lots of different pictures of the finished article. You have a 2-page piece of the Pool Vikings scale model exhibition, some photographs for the editor's choice, a piece on the Starfire, which again goes over 4 pages with various build photos in progress. We've then got a piece of Model World Live 2026, a couple of pieces about the Annual General Meeting, which of course nobody cares about. The Korean War Douglas A-26B Invader, piece on that, which goes over 4 pages. The Royal Air Force Cosford Air Show, some really nice photographs of aircraft in that. Then a look at Golden Oldies, the Airfix Lockheed P-38J. We've got a piece on RAF Bomber Command, which goes over 4 pages as well. 5 pages, apologies. A bit on the Mildenhall Model Fair. Got an advert from Airfix. A page for Models for Heroes. A double-page showcase of members' builds. And then you have 4 pages of reviews. Another advert, and then you have 2 pages of what's on, and then finished up with all of the service system members and IPMS executive people. This is a similar price. I think it's £36, the IPMS membership now. And you get a lot more in this than this. This might be, a little bit thicker in terms of the cardstock. But that's the only way it's heavier. There is no real content in this. It's adverts, like on the back page here for the limited edition coin. Again, who wants that? Whereas the IPMS is giving you a lot more modelling articles, information, what's on, model shows, all of that sort of stuff. Now, I have been critical of the IPMS before. Man's Model Moments is now a registered IPMS virtual club, so if you would like to join, you can do that by becoming a channel member. That includes membership of the club. Obviously, if you're an IPMS member, then you benefit from all the IPMS membership pieces as well. We are getting a physical meeting together as well. One of the reasons I did that is I don't feel it's fair to critique an organisation just solely from outside. I think being part of it and actually showing there are different ways to go about things is the way to go. So that's one of the things that I want to do with the club. So if you want to join the virtual club, membership is open to anybody anywhere in the world. Obviously, if you're an IPMS UK member, You also get to go into Telford and all of those things. You get the magazine, which, as I say, is the same price per year to join the IPMS as it is to join the Airfix Club. If I was going to join one club and one club only, it would be the IPMS Club and not the Airfix Club. The value you're getting from the IPMS is far higher. And again, I'll go into that in a dedicated video at another time. But really, the point I wanted to make is about the company. Okay. Now, another company that you will have seen a lot of recently from me is JP Fans. So they are not a modelling company. And I've featured them a lot on the channel because they allow you to buy from Japan very cost effectively. And there are a lot of models in Japan that you can't get hold of here, or at least you can't get hold of here cost effectively. And they've reached out to me. We've done collaborations. I've done several videos now showing you can buy models for about half of what you can buy them here in the UK from Japan. Out of production stuff, rare stuff, all that kind of thing. So they're doing more for saving you money than something like joining the Airfix Club and getting 10% off Airfix kits, which you can buy for that price anywhere anyway. The other company you will have seen a lot from, a lot of modelers, myself included, is this one. It is Galeri. Now, Galeri obviously work with a lot of social media people in creating content for them. So I've done a video recently on the Galeri Vortex Mixer. So you've seen that there. They've also sent me the Turbox, and the new Aventus 2 airbrush, which I'll be doing dedicated, probably one review on them both. Now, I've used a Galeri airbrush now for more than 2 years. This is my staple go-to airbrush. I haven't done a review on this because I wanted to do a long-term test on it, and it's held up really, really well. Now, people have some mixed comments about Galeri, but one of the things that I would say is that they've taken a lot of that feedback, and that's the reason that we have an Aventus 2, because they've looked at improving their tolerances, which was one of the complaints that people had, was about, oh, reviewers are getting better samples than we are in, general production kind of thing. And they've kind of gone back and worked on that, on their QC, on their tolerances, and made sure that they've produced a product that they're proud of, which, again, I think is a great thing to do. It advances the products and the affordability of good quality products in the industry. Another company that I've been talking quite a lot about recently is Rall. So Rall have Project Harrier. They have moved away from the awful end opening boxes that nobody liked. They've gone to flip top opening and top opening boxes. We're seeing honesty, openness, transparency. We're seeing good pricing, and all that on top of, making some really nice tooling. Gloucester Meteor was a fabulous model kit. So I'm a bit flummoxed, I must say, about the variability in some other model companies' behaviours, because we see this from obviously Hornby, where they won't work with creators, where they're doing copyright strike threats, where they're disassociating from all of us, free advertising effectively, whereas companies that aren't necessarily model companies are embracing us as a community and helping us to get further in the hobby. So we live in a very bizarre world at the moment. We've got all kinds of stresses going on. We've got obviously AI burgeoning. That is both a help and a hindrance. We see the preponderance of AI slop. There's a push against that. You'll have seen on all my videos now, I'm putting a human created, no AI little symbol on, because I work on my videos personally. I don't get an AI to make anything. I create my thumbnails myself, all of that sort of stuff, unless I'm doing a spoof, obviously. Now, and with all these sorts of stresses and strains outside in the world, I won't mention politics because that's just crazy everywhere now. We don't need to have that from model companies as well. So So I think going to companies and embracing companies that allow us none of that stress, that work with the community, and you may not be a creator, but it gives you a flavour of the company about how it works with the community as a whole. And obviously, content creators like myself are a good avenue to get products out, to get the word out. But you also know you're going to get honest reviews. So we're not paid shills. They don't pay us to say something nice about this product. I have no restrictions about what I say about this airbrush. And believe me, I hope you know me well enough now that if I think it's rubbish, I'll tell you I think it's rubbish. If I think it's overpriced, I'll tell you I think it's good, but it's too much. And that is true of an awful lot of creators. And even if you can influence one or two creators, you can't influence them all, which means that you, as a customer, can look across all the broad index of creators out there. You can look at Florrie, you can look at Moss, you can look at Nigel, you can look at Peter Oxley and myself and Gary and all of the other multitude of creators that are there, and get a balanced view. If we all say something pretty good, we're pretty sure it's pretty good, we all say, not sure, then of course you can make your own mind up, but it might give you a word of caution. You might actually want to go and see it yourself, see if it's for you first. So it really is baffling why some companies are rejecting that and not going down the sort of embracing community avenue. But it's really also quite heartening to see a lot of big companies doing exactly the opposite, right? That's really all I wanted to talk about today. I don't have any conclusions to make. It's just something that's been sitting on my mind for a while, ever since I got the Airfix Club magazine, and I was just astonished about how, for such a well-produced magazine, how empty it was. And as I say, with the IPMS magazine coming shortly before it, which actually has quite a lot in it, I disagree with some of the way the IPMS works around the magazine. I think having a physical copy for all members, as I've mentioned before, is wasteful. But first things first, is the content good? It's okay. Is the Airfix Club magazine content good? No, it's not. That's a very easy comparison to make, right? And as I say, I'll do a dedicated video picking apart the differences and value for joining Airfix Club or joining IPMS as a club in a future video. But that's all I got for today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Do check out Midweek Model Meet tomorrow night, and also Scale Model Inc. live on Friday. I'll have a video out on Thursday too, and I hope you join me for that one. Bye now.